All right, here we are.
And
Here
we're
we
Hello. Hello.
back.
Good
Hello.
evening, everyone. Good evening. Hey there, Ruth
Hi, we're
and Miss
back.
Victoria. How are you?
I am wonderful. How are you, darlings?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm fine. I tell you what, we have an exciting time here on Authors Up. Never
And
know
we're back.
going to happen. But we are here. We had a little delay due to some technical difficulties, a little
It's
power
all right.
outage, but we are back and we are going to dive right in. Thank you all who were here earlier. Come on back in and put your comments in so we know that you are here and here with us. We have a wonderful guest
Yes.
hiding out in the little green room there, but we're going to bring her in after our break, and you're going to meet her. She's a delightful lady, and you're going to love her. We love her, and we love the book that she has written, and we look
Yes.
forward to sharing that with you. Hey there, Lynn. Thank you for coming back with us, and we're looking for our other listeners to come back in as well. So let's just dive in and get started, guys. Let's start with our weekend review, and Ms. Ruth, why don't you tell us what was happening with you this past week?
Sure, sure. First, I want to say welcome to all our non-Facebook listeners
Yes.
all
Yes.
around the world. You are most welcome. Most
Yes.
welcome. Um, so this week, it was usual. Nothing exciting happened. I have to say though, I had a moment of reflection today. So I recently had a birthday. We talked about that last week. I turned 48. I have no issue telling people that. I'm proud of
Well,
my
that's
48 years. Um, because I feel like I'm still 35. So
Well, good for
good for
you.
yeah, I
you.
know, right? So I don't feel as old as I am until Victoria said something today.
What
And
I
that
say?
kinda just crashed my so we were at church and I was holding, a friend's grandbaby, and just I mean, he was the most precious thing, and
It
in my
was.
head,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm doing the mommy thing, and she's like, "Oh, look at you doing the grandma thing," and I'm like, "Whoa, wait a minute, when did I become old enough to be a grandmother?"
When you turn 48.
I know.
Okay.
It
I'm
just hit me
sorry. I didn't mean to
today.
hurt your feelings.
You
I
you didn't hear my
apologize.
feelings. It hit me today. I'm like, "Whoa, wait.
Yeah.
No, I don't do the
Yeah.
mommy thing anymore." My kids are grown. They out the house. They're older. So that means I'm older.
And they could present you with a grandchild.
No, not anytime soon. I mean, they could, but they don't need to anytime soon. It was just one of those moments where she you didn't know what you
Yeah.
did know the impact of your
Yeah.
word, but it was just like, "Oh, okay. I am."
Aha.
Yeah, it was most definitely an aha moment. So,
Yeah.
um, like I said, it wasn't a very eventful week, but that definitely, um, that was the most memorable part of my week. So,
I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I'm so sorry.
no, they didn't hurt my feelings. It was just, reality. When they say reality hits you, it literally, it just like
Smashed you. It's
smacks you
In the
like
face.
right in the face, and you're like, "Oh yeah, no, you're not 35 anymore."
No
Mm-mm.
matter what you tell yourself, right?
Nope. Nope.
Yeah, you're back. You're right. You're
Yeah,
right,
you're
Marsha.
back.
You're
Yeah,
Marsha.
it's the
Right
right choice.
place, right time. You're in the right spot.
right.
Yeah, so that was my highlight. I'm old. So, Andrea, how about your week?
I don't even know what to say to her. I just don't even know.
Her highlight is that she's so, I've been old for so long.
Okay.
It just is what it is.
Just work with the rest of us. We're getting there.
That's
Okay.
it. That's it. That's
My
it.
knees tell me I'm old.
Yeah, I was gonna say too. Like I feel 35, but then when I stand up from here after sitting down for about an hour or so, I'm gonna be like, "Oh, I'm not
Mm.
35." So
Yep, yep, yep. Nakayana, thank you for coming and joining us tonight. We are doing what we do here on Authors Up, which is, first of all, have a little fun and a little laughter, because we can't do this show without laughing. And laughter
I
is
know.
good medicine for whatever's ailing you. I tell
Yep.
you. So,
Amen.
so
Amen.
we're in a good spot and a good place, and we hope you are too.
Thank
Um,
you.
How was your week? How was your week? Come on,
Yes.
come on, come on.
well, I got two things. I got two things.
Okay.
Thing number one is I was invited to do a piece of poetry to music
Oh,
with
that's
Oh,
Ruth.
right.
Some of you are familiar with Cinnamon Ruth Leggett,
Yeah.
and she
yeah.
has been working on a project called Worship Puerto Rico,
Mm.
where she has raised money to go back to Puerto Rico and help with those who were devastated by
Hmm.
storms and hurricanes and things like that. Well, she recently, well, not recently, actually, it's been a couple of years that she relocated to LA. So she's now doing Worship LA,
Mm-hmm.
Worship Los Angeles. And at the end of the month, she will be coming to Surf City to do Worship North Carolina.
Oh.
And she has an original song that she has written, and she asked me
Oh,
to do a poetic piece to go with it.
how
So
beautiful.
I did. I wrote something, and things you don't think about. She asked me to do it. I said, "Oh yeah, fine, that'll be cool." We did one before she even left, and it was a piece to father daughter dance,
Oh.
and it comes up every year. It'll surface on YouTube and Facebook and all of that. But I said, yeah, sure, I'll do this. Now, first of all, I am not thinking about, guess what? Time zone changes.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Time zone
Yep.
changes. I said, well, what time is it? She said, it's 7 o'clock. And I said, oh, cool. No problem. No, no, wait. That's 10.
See?
That I'm sleepy at 10. I don't know if I'm going to be able to stay awake to do this thing at 10 o'clock. That was my first hurdle. My second hurdle was, I said, you're doing this on Zoom? Oh, no, no, we're doing it on Instagram. I don't have one of those. I don't have,
Ruth, old,
you know,
old people.
you know. Yes, exactly. So when you're talking about old, there are other things that let you know that you're old. And
You
those
need a gram, ma'am.
So I had to do sound check a day early so that I could get an Instagram account and figure out how to get into it and do all those things. So we managed to get it all together, and did another sound check at 5. I had said, well, I'll just take a little nap here. And then I realized, oh no, 5 o'clock, no, what, 8. I gotta be ready at 8:15 and do this.
Bless her heart.
It worked out all right. It was a
Well,
lot,
good.
and I did enjoy it. I
So now
did.
you got a gram for real now.
I'm on the IG. Yes. Yes.
You do know you were already on the IG.
No. Because I didn't have any what do you call those things? The hash the you know what I'm talking about. How you sign in, what I'm called when I go out there and do stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, your identity was already on the gram.
Really? What was I? Who was I?
Andrea L. Hines.
Well, that's interesting, because that's why we couldn't get that name yesterday, because it was already taken.
That's not funny, but
You know,
that
I
is.
wouldn't
I'm
So
sorry.
Instagram accounts
You
now.
know what? I'm just
Yeah,
gonna
we'll let you know the right one to follow.
stop
I am
talking.
rolling.
Just stop.
I am
Just stop talking. Just stop talking. It's okay.
Well, I have decided also that in November I am going to do the challenge. Not officially like
Oh.
you all are doing, but I have a work that I have been meaning to do and been meaning to complete the writing of for some.
Okay. We'll take
Okay.
that, right,
So
Ruth? We'll take
That's
it.
fine.
November will push me to get it done. So I'm kind of excited about that.
Well,
So
good,
Well,
good.
those are
Look,
good.
and I just want to share because I've had a couple other people say that they were interested in doing the challenge, and I think that that will give us more accountability if we're all doing it together. So we can have our
yeah.
Yes.
little community here, everybody keeping their word count, keeping track of their word count and sharing that with
Yes.
everybody. So yeah,
Yes.
that's exciting.
What's the word count for a children's book? I need to look that up.
We need to look
Whatever
that up.
you
Yeah.
decide it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay then. Okay. All
All right, Victoria. How's
right.
your week?
My biggest challenge this week was surviving Hurricane Ian. You know,
Obviously you did.
I did, yes. Um, what what I mean by that was, I moved. I moved in March to a new apartment, and so in March, you didn't think about any kind of storms or power outages or things like that. But this storm really made me think, okay, I really got to kind of get ready for, because we live in North Carolina, and, we'll have power outages with the ice and all that.
Hmm.
I'm just not ready. And I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who said, well, do you have this? Do you have water? Do you have flashlights? Do you have candles? No, I don't have none of that. So, so I was like, it was just an eye opener for me to, you know what, you got to get ready. You got to get ready because you know there are storms going to come. So I just thank God that this particular one did not. And, I feel for everybody who lost power. I feel sorry for all those in Florida, and I'm so grateful. The worst I had was the limb fell in the house, but I just thought I'm grateful because it could have been so much worse. And the only thing that I thought to do was make sure I had my medicine and my child's medicine. That's it. But other than that, I was like, I just wasn't as prepared. So it's just a reminder
Reminder.
that winter is coming for our great Game of Thrones people. Winter is coming. You gotta get ready. So that was my week. Get ready.
Okay, so it's a weekend review and PSA.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, everybody else. Now we've got that out the way. We have a wonderful, wonderful author waiting for us. We were to have her before. That didn't happen, but it's happening tonight. And we are so excited. We're ready, guys. We're ready.
We are
Yeah.
ready.
All right, all right. And I will be reading our bio, so hang on. Elaine Kochanowicz is the author of Mom of Six Dies Laughing and is the host of the Imagine Momcast podcast. She is a wife and mother of six. Over the years, she has run a play group, was homeschooling for 15 years, started a homeschool co op that grew to 150 people, finished four triathlons, helped her husband with his growing Inc. 5000 business, wrote a few children plays, and played a lot of Foursquare. She's had kids in public and private school as well, has become a veteran in feeding a very large family, hates laundry, and loves chocolate and adventures. These days, she helps moms through her book, podcasts, speaking, group challenges for moms, coaching, and courses. We're going to take a short break. And when we return, you're going to meet our delightful guest, Elaine. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Hi, Elaine.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of
Hey,
Welcome.
course.
Elaine. Hey, Elaine.
We are glad you were able to join us this time. I know
Yeah.
you had a moment like the
So
rest of us. You're
sorry.
probably not as old as us, but it's all right.
Definitely had a senior moment. I had a mom's been pregnant too many times lost some brain cells moment.
Mhm. We understand that. We do. We do. You're in good company. So, and I have to say that when I got the request for your book, the title is what drew me to look further into it. And I think just going by the title and the cover, I was like, oh, this is probably something we should do. So, tell us more about your book, Mom of Six Dies Laughing.
Yeah, I love that you said that about the title too, because it took me forever to pick a title. I had several written down and I was polling everyone I knew, from all the neighbors to the dog and anybody in
Mhm.
between. And everybody liked something different.
Of
And I
course.
finally just had to pick. So that's awesome. The question was, I'm sorry, I totally got off track. What is the book about? Is that what you asked me?
Yes, tell
Okay.
us what the book is about.
So I'm going to tell you through a story. So one time when my youngest was around 3, he had major mommyitis and he would not let me go anywhere.
Mm,
Thankfully, he was, the youngest of 6. So by that time, I had probably kids that were like 10 and 11. I had like old enough ish for
mm,
him to be like hanging out with them, watching cartoons, while I hoped to sneak out of the house and go to the grocery store for a few minutes.
mhm.
Anybody who's had a clingy toddler knows how this goes.
Yep.
So it was a Saturday morning and my husband was home, but he was laying in bed. He hadn't gotten up yet and he was just kind of, awake, but lounging around. And the kids were watching cartoons and the 3-year-old was with them. And I thought to myself, if I can just sneak past the living room without him noticing, I could get to the garage and get out of the house and be back before he even knew I was
Mhm,
gone. So I snuck through. I got to the garage. I opened the door as slowly as I possibly could. I opened the van door. I closed it quietly. I got in. And then the moment of truth, is when you open the garage door because you know how loud it is and there's nothing you
mhm.
can do about it. And so I prayed and then opened the garage door and then back to the van out and was heading, just like about to leave. And I thought to myself, I did it. I got out and he didn't know I was gone. Nothing has happened. Nobody's screaming coming out the
Mhm.
garage or anything. I'm like, okay, this is good. And I start to drive off. And right then, my 3-year-old bursts out of the door. And right behind him is my husband in his underwear chasing him down the street. And I did not look back.
There you go. That's the right response.
So thankfully, my husband's a runner because it took him about a quarter of a mile to catch up, but he finally did
Wow.
get it.
Wow.
So that is all to say that I think that as moms, we tend to feel like nobody's in the same boat as us,
Right.
Mhm.
and feel a lot of mom guilt and totally overwhelmed at
Mhm.
times.
Yep.
And so that's why I wrote the book, was, to help moms feel understood, related to, kind of not take themselves quite so seriously, maybe, you
Mhm.
know, and just find, some really like practical help and answers, because I feel like moms are like the best people to give mom advice versus like books, you know?
Yes.
Because I remember like reading those parenting books and then
Uh-huh.
I would just feel guilty for 3 months and then
Mhm.
I wouldn't do anything they said. And then I'd finally get over it and go back to doing whatever I was doing already.
Okay. So, I had like a bunch of questions ready to ask you about your writing journey, all that, and I think we'll get to it. But obviously, humor is a big part of who you are.
I just feel like, I always wondered, what does joy mean?
Mhm.
And I think it took me to write the book to like equate joy with laughter.
Mm.
Mm,
Because when you think about it, like for just example, like I have a friend and she actually lost her little boy when he was 3. Our boys were the same age, our youngest.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And I remembered like just the day it happened, just rushing to her house and just sitting with her and talking. But during that day, like there was humor. You know what I mean? Like there was things would come up that we would just laugh about.
Mm.
And it's like that's I think that's why I'm starting to really realize that laughter and joy are kind of hand in hand, because it's like that one thing, that you can have in the midst of any situation that kind of pulls you out,
mhm,
Mhm.
and draws you closer to other people and to God, I think.
mhm,
Oh, that is,
mhm,
I think that's really profound, especially, like you said, we as, we're all moms here. So,
Yeah.
and I think I can speak for all of us when I say that we've all experienced that mom guilt. Um, Maybe even to some degree still do. Um,
Oh yeah, for
so
sure.
it's not something that it's not something that you necessarily, "Oh, I'm done feeling guilty." My kids are 26, 24, and I think 22. Um, you don't that age thing. Um, you don't stop laughing. You're gonna distract me. Um, sorry. Okay, so going back, joy, definitely, there is, I've learned that there's a difference between happiness and joy, and I think that joy comes from somewhere deep within and it can override, like you said, any situation. The fact that you could sit there with your friend in a tragic, devastating situation, but
Yeah, it
still
was horrible.
experience that, there's a big difference for that. And I think that your book definitely shows that, because I know when I started reading it, I was looking at it going, "Oh, this you could almost treat this like a devotional." You
Mhm.
definitely laugh your way through it. It's unlike any devotional I've read, but it'll put you in a different place because you'll walk away laughing and going, "Okay, I'm not the only one with mom guilt." You know,
Mhm.
I'm not alone. Let's put it that way. So, um yeah, I that
Absolutely.
was just a statement, so, no question there, but, obviously, you have a lot of accolades on your bio there, and there doesn't seem like there's not too much that you don't do, so were you always a writer? Or it just
No, this
came.
is my first book.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
hey, good, good, good.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, do you
So I
enjoy
am.
writing, or is it just something that you just decided one day, "I'm gonna write a book?"
Yeah. Um, it kind of reminds me of when my Aunt Christy said to me one time she had a baby late in life and she went to the doctor and she had really bad morning sickness.
Mhm.
And the doctor didn't believe her. And she said all she wanted to do was like throw up on his shoes.
I believe it then.
Okay.
I love her. I love
I know. You can see where the humor comes from in this
Yeah, I
family.
see, yes.
But and it kind of just reminded me of that in the writing process, because I feel like in a way, like when I started, it's like I wanted to just throw up everything that I had ever
Yeah.
gone through as a mom, and just write it down so someone else when they went through it would like know, what it was
Mhm.
like, and not have to hopefully, trudge through all the misery because they had a heads up.
Yep.
But at the same time, like would that have really gotten the point across, to just like kind of basically write a bio? And so
Mhm.
I kind of like wrote part of it, and then I had to go back to the drawing board and think
Mm.
through like, when someone picks up my book, what question are they trying to answer?
Mhm.
Mhm.
And so that's when I really thought, that's what they want. They want to ditch the mom guilt. This is the subtitle, is how to ditch overwhelm and mom guilt, feel more connected and empowered, and have more fun.
Mhm.
And I thought, that's really what they want. They don't want to hear my biography.
Right.
they want to hear, how do I get from this, situation I'm not happy with to this one that I want.
Right.
Mhm.
Wow.
And I think that that really helped me change the direction of the book, and change the way I wrote it, because actually that's when I started writing it more humorously, and it was just so much fun that it was like much more of a blast after that, and just like, oh man, this is cool. Like in real life, like normally people don't go, oh, Elaine, she's really funny. But when I have time to think about it, it's
Yes.
really cool.
That is neat. That is neat. And I applaud you because most people, when they go back and realize it's not working, I won't say most people, I don't like general statements. Some people just give up. They
Mhm.
don't write. When you figure out that you have to rewrite the book, they just go, maybe it wasn't just meant to be. So the fact that you could go back and do that, start again, and then come out with this is just amazing. So um, I have so many questions, but I'm going to let Andrea jump in there because I think she has questions now.
No, I don't.
Okay.
Oh,
All
that was
right.
easy.
Well, we're good.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. The sentence that you said that I think is so important, and what gets us into trouble and into that guilt space is have more fun. I think we get so obsessed almost with getting it right and doing it right, and
Mm.
am I saying the right thing? Is he going to be in therapy for 12 years because of something I didn't do, and all
Or
of that.
did do.
Yeah.
Didn't do. And I love the way the book is written, because the things that you talk about, like when you were figuring out what to do to spend time with your kids, and the games that you would play and things like that. It's not, and it's not rocket science. It's just love, and time and presence and all of those kinds of things, and there's nothing that isn't covered, and I love that about it, because it's something that says, not I can be a good parent, but I am a good parent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing these things, and here's somebody who's already done them, and she's sane, and nobody's looking for her with a white jacket with extra long sleeves and
Yet.
tie back. This is a great thing, So I really liked everything about the way that you put your thoughts together and what you had learned
Mm-hmm.
in your journey with your kids, and it's really really great. And sometimes we're always looking for something, like you said. You wonder, when people pick up my book, what are they looking for? What are they looking for? And I think a lot of those questions you answer, and you
That's awesome.
answer from a place of, this is what I did, and this is what worked, and this is what I did, and maybe not so much. You might not want to go in that direction, but all of it is just really good. But you have one part in this book that is really serious, to me at least, and I don't know. Um, I know it's not something that most people think about, but I want you to touch on it. As quickly as you can, to kind of give us a sense and a feel of it. But it's that chapter when you talk about when Child Protective Services comes to the door, because that had to be one of the most frightening experiences that I think any parent can go through. I don't think it's something that's at the forefront of our brain, but my goodness, what do you do? How do you handle that? How does that happen? And I loved the way that you explained what that scenario was for you. And I'd love for you to share some of that with our listeners tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So I really debated whether to put that in the book, because of, not only because it's not humorous, but also it's very personal
Mm-hmm.
and very, very scary. And the reason that I decided to put it in the book was because I wanted other mothers who've gone through this to know that they're not the only one. And, I feel like Satan traps us in the dark, but when we bring it into the light, that's when God can work.
Right.
And so I felt like I wanted to bring that into the light so that, God could work through it. And also because I don't have anything to hide, I felt like I was definitely a victim in
Right.
that
Right.
situation. So basically what happened was our 3-year-old, well, let's see, he was 5. I think he was around 5 at the time. Our youngest, he was on a trampoline across the street and he got hurt. And at the time that he got hurt, I was not home and my husband was not home. My husband was out of town and I was at a gymnastics meet. So, and I was like an hour away from the house. And my dad was home, like taking care of the kids. He happened to be here, and the other kids. So my oldest at that time was a teenager.
Mhm.
And so they got him from the trampoline, brought him home. He was screaming bloody murder. They called me. And of course, I'm like, like, okay, shoot, what do we do? And of course, it was like a Sunday night. Like, none of this ever happens like from 8 to
Right.
5 on Monday through
Of
Friday,
course.
Right. Of course.
because that would have been easy. So at that point, you're like, do we spend the money to take him to the emergency room? Like, how serious is this? And on top of that, the 5-year-old he's kind of a drama king. So combine that with my oldest, who's a teenager, who nothing bothers him unless you were about to fall off a cliff or something. And then my dad, who's just, I don't know, super like tough. so he's like, like just tough it up and quit
Yeah.
crying. And so, as a mother, like, it's very hard on the phone to assess.
Mhm.
Right.
And there wasn't anything really obvious, like, he had a bone sticking out of his leg or something. So I was just like, well, just prop him up and try to, turn something on the TV and I'll get home as soon as I can. So we did that. And by the time I got home, he was fine. Like, he wasn't fine to the point of not in pain, but he wasn't like crying or anything.
Mhm.
And so I had actually just sprained my knee really badly, like a couple weeks before that. And I had been like on crutches and everything. And just based on his symptoms, I really thought that probably was what it was. So, long story short, we didn't end up taking him to the doctor until like a week and a half later. And we finally decided, okay, it was getting better, but he couldn't put pressure on it. And so we went to a sports guy. They took an x-ray. They called me on the Friday of that week and was like, and he didn't think it was broken, the sports guy. But at the end of the week, when they got the x-ray, they were like, no, it's broken. So we ended up going to a hospital that handles children specifically in our area. And when we went there, the doctor was asking me, it was just me actually with my son, my husband wasn't there. And she ended up asking me like what happened. And I just gave her the brief version. And she was like, why didn't you bring him in 2 weeks ago? And I didn't really know what to say because I was in such shock already that he'd broke his leg.
Yeah.
And then I felt horrible.
Mhm.
I just felt like I should just be kind of contrite, because I just like felt so guilty. Well, that ended up to be the wrong thing to do because I didn't say much about it. And so she ended up calling the social worker. And when I was in the doctor's office, like waiting for the nurse to come in, I was just sitting in there with my 5-year-old. The social worker came in there and started asking me questions. And at first I didn't understand what was going on.
Mhm.
But as soon as I realized she was a social worker, my like antenna went up because we homeschooled for so long and they're very like proactive about telling you kind of how to handle social workers.
Right.
Right.
And so I just clammed up pretty fast. I like pretty much told her the names of the kids and that was it. And I think she was like, well, it didn't, I don't know if it even mattered at that point because once the ball got rolling, they had to
Right.
investigate
Yeah,
it.
to the end. Yeah.
Yeah. And It was the most horrible experience I've ever had in my life because I had to then take him downstairs to another part of the hospital to get his leg set and all these things. And the whole time I have to be nice and I'm trying to keep him calm because he's freaking out because he's only 5 and he doesn't understand what's going on and he's, crying and all this stuff. He didn't know he didn't understand anything about DFS. He was just worried about getting his leg set, and all that stuff. And so I'm having to play like the everything's gonna be good and chit-chatting with all the people there. And I feel like I'm in enemy territory. Like anything I say is now gonna be used against me.
Right.
Right.
I mean, it was really freaky. And so I went home, and on my way home, I called my husband, and of course he's freaking out. And we get home, and we're not home more than 30 minutes, and this other social worker shows up at the door. And so we're just like, well, we've been trained, don't let him into your house. And so we're like standing at the door, and he's wanting to come in to just make sure everything, because they have this 24-hour check where they have to just make sure there's no emergency. And the kids were there, so he could see the kids from the front door. They were like watching TV and stuff. And so he saw them, saw that they were okay, and he left. And then it almost got worse from there because I had told the first lady the names of the kids. They knew that there were 6 of them. And it happened to be that at that time, we had 2 in public high school. So there was only 4 kids that were home when the social worker came. And so he wanted to interview all the kids, and he wanted to interview the other 2 and see them because he hadn't actually gotten to see them. And when this all took place, it took a few weeks. We finally got the information to the social worker that, I wrote it out, and I wrote numbers of all the neighbors and all the details and everything. And when I started talking to the social worker over the phone, finally, after weeks, where I was just like, I thought my heart was going to like drop out of my chest, because you're waiting for weeks. You don't know what's happening. You don't know what they're going to do. And I finally talked to him on the phone. And when I mentioned that we had gone to this other doctor and gotten the x-ray there, that sports doctor, and that's the doctor we had taken the x-rays with us when we went to the children's hospital. Well, they didn't know that. They didn't know. And so they thought that was our first time to ever even go to a doctor. Right. And as soon as I said that, like, he was just like, I don't even need to hear anymore. Like, and I was like, you're kidding me. Like, the doctor could have looked at the x-ray and seen that it wasn't from their hospital. Like, it was so,
right.
And you put me through this hell,
Yeah.
And then, but it didn't end because then they wanted to, like I said, interview the kids. And we were like, no, like, you have all the evidence you need. You've already told me that. Now it's just a witch hunt. Now it's just, let's see what kind of stuff we can dig up.
Right.
And then on top of that, they hadn't seen the other 2. So they threatened us that they would go to the school and interview them because we didn't have jurisdiction over the public school.
Wow.
So we got a lawyer, and we had to write a letter, or they wrote a letter on our behalf. And thankfully, after, going back and forth a little bit with that was enough to get them to really be afraid of us. And so that was good. And so just to kind of like close the case, they said, we'll just bring the other 2 by our office. And so my husband went, and he literally just took the other 2 in, and that was it, and left. And that was the end of it. But we still had to wait for another like couple months to really find out it was closed.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was horrible.
Elaine, I'm glad that you included it. I know it's not, a happy place, and I know that it really is kind of, difficult to even go through, but I'm glad that you did include it because there are always things that, life happens, and life doesn't always happen without a curveball in there somewhere. Yes. And I'm sure that there's probably somebody out there, and somebody who's reading your book, or somebody, who has either come close to that experience, or who may not even be processing that kind of thing can happen. So I'm glad that you did. I'm glad that you did include it. It was an eye opener for me.
Mhm.
because you don't think in those terms because you know what your intention is, you know what you're trying to do, and you're trying to be a good mom and do everything right. So it doesn't even occur to you that something would be taken out of context and taken to the level that you all had to go through with that. So I
Right.
appreciate that and appreciate you sharing that with us tonight. So let's get back to the fun stuff, Victoria.
Oh, y'all know what I'm gonna say. Get the book,
Get the
get the
book.
Yeah.
book, get the book. I love the book. There are two things that really stuck out for me. And before we started the show tonight, I let you know how much I love the book, and that I wish your part three, the early days, that I had your book be when I had my first child 24 years ago, because it's better than that other book.
That we shall not name.
We can name
Yep.
it. I don't care. But I carried that book around, and I tried to do everything by that book. And it was part, like you said, the mom guilt for not doing it right. I felt like I was a terrible mother, but I did not give myself grace, which I should have. And I just wish I had your book. So I recommend that part. You say in the intro, if you're a new mom, go to part three and then come back. And that's really what they need to do. If you're a new mother out there, somebody who's about to have a baby, get them this book and let them read practical advice
Mhm.
from a mom of six. And if I could go back, I would do it a little better as far as have more fun, because
Mhm.
you're all about trying to make sure everybody got what they need. And if you add children who have some sicknesses in there, then you're trying to make sure everybody has their medication. I mean, it's a lot. But you need grace to be a mom. And I love particularly chapter 3. Chapter 3 is my favorite.
Mhm.
Get out of the house, girl. That's what that the name of that chapter is. Get out of the house, girl. That's right. Get the book. Can you talk about why it is so important for us to take a break and get out of the house, get away from the children?
Amen, sister. There's a quote in the book that's it's something like sitting in your car with the door locked, eating bunches of McDonald's and horrible Big Macs and drinking giant cups of soda and listening to rap music that cusses is a totally normal form of mother therapy.
Yep.
Two
I
thumbs up.
agree.
Two thumbs up.
I remember one time I was at church and the pastor, they did this like skit to go with the sermon. And in the skit, the mom locked herself in the bathroom and she was folding laundry and she had people kept knocking on the door, and all these things. And then the pastor gets up there and he goes, ha, 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 wasn't that funny? And I was like, that was not funny. That was PTSD right there.
How about that? That was like a little too much reality on a
Mhm.
Yes.
Sunday.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, absolutely. I remember um, my husband walking in. This happened a few times. And he come into the garage and open the door. And when he left that morning, everything was fine. And he'd come back and I'd have one on my hip and one hanging onto my leg. And I'd be like mascara running and, like look like a bag of mashed potatoes. And he's like, what in the heck is going on? And I'm like, I hate you and I hate these kids, and if I never see any of you again, it'll be too soon. I'd hand him the baby and walk out and drive away.
It's too much. It's too
And
much.
I'd call my best friend and do some rant therapy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then I'd go see a movie by myself. You don't
Good.
realize how awesome it is to see a movie by yourself until you
I,
have small
I
children.
never did
Yeah.
that. And matter of fact, to this day, I've never done it.
Yeah, you
Oh,
should.
you're missing.
It's
Yeah.
good therapy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
But that's what I wanted to bring out. That we have to. It's part of our self care. It's part of taking care of us. It's part of our mental health. If we don't take care of ourselves, how can we take care of the crew? Let's go
Mhm.
over that. How can we
Exactly.
take care of anybody else unless we take care of ourselves? So that was we could talk about your book all night long. Oh my goodness. So many things we weren't able to touch on, but please, can you tell our listeners and our viewers where they could find your book and how could they connect with you if they have any questions for you?
Absolutely. So the best way to do it is to actually go to imaginemom.com/book.
Okay.
So it's imagine is with an E at the beginning instead of an I. So it's imaginemom.com/book. You can go to Amazon too and get to it there. But if you go to that link, there's a quick link to get to it on Amazon.
Okay.
So yeah, you can buy it there. It's called Mom of Six Dies Laughing. You can buy it on Amazon, but you can get to the link there. If you want to connect with me, I am on Instagram. All my handles, I think that's what we were trying to remember
She on the
earlier.
gram. She on the gram.
She's on the gram. Is Imagine Mom.
Okay.
So it's they're all EMAGINEMOM, Imagine Mom. So you can get to me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all that way.
good.
Now you
good.
also have a podcast too,
I was
right?
getting ready to say. I was getting
Okay.
ready to say.
I didn't want to
Please tell us
forget.
about
Yes.
the podcast. real quick.
And my email is Elaine@imaginemom.com. So
Okay.
if you want to email me. My podcast is the Imagine Momcast.
Okay. How did
And
that start? And tell us about that.
yeah, so I have lots of interviews about things that are really pertinent to moms. I try to do what you guys do and have like
Mhm.
discussions as much as possible. So some really funny ones, but also like some really great things like how to. Oh, we had a powerful one with some ladies I know that all have kids that have adopted or special needs.
Mm.
You know, just how to basically, raise those kids and how to handle some of
Right.
those really tough situations,
Yeah.
and a lot of things on mindset and
Yes.
how to change your mindset. So different things like that. I just actually started recently posting also a daily motivation for Christian moms.
Mhm.
And they're like a minute to 2 minutes long, like not even 2 minutes long. So definitely get on there and check that out on the podcast.
That is awesome. And what was the name again?
It's the Imagine Mom Cast.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's all I have because I know we're about out of time.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me. It's been a delight. Do you have time for one more really quick story?
Sure.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, I can talk fast.
Okay.
So one night I was messing around with the kids and we had this wooden spanking paddle. It's red but I wasn't really giving anybody a spanking. I was just messing with them because they were being like snails trying to get ready for bed. And I was like, please hurry up. And so I was going around like just funny swatting them. And then they were trying to get it away from me and swat me. And we were just joking around and, having a fun time. And I thought it would be hilarious because I just got this label maker and I was so excited. You know how when you first get a label maker, you like have to label everything.
Everything.
So I thought it would be really funny if I put weapon of mass destruction on the spanking paddle. So I go get the label maker. I type it all out. I'm, so proud when that beautiful strip just prints out. Tear it on the perforated edge, and I'm just like, la la la. And I paste it onto the spanking paddle. And then I looked at it and I forgot the M.
Oh, okay. Yep. Yep.
True story. No joke.
My kind of mom.
Right. I bet you
There's
that's
no doubt what it is now. Yes.
Exactly. Get him, Mom. Get him, Mom.
Elaine, that is a perfect note to end on. A perfect note to end on. I tell you what, we thank you so much. We thank you so much for being with us here on Authors Up. I tell you, we had to go through some changes to make it happen. And even with the power outage, I thought, what is this going on? but we managed to make it. You made it happen for us and tonight and our listeners. And we
Absolutely.
thank you so, so much for being with us.
Yes.
We look forward to another book from you.
Yes.
And when
Mhm.
you get that together, get it all written and everything, please let us know. Keep in touch with Authors Up. We certainly do want to keep in
Absolutely.
touch with you and see what you're up to and what's going on your podcast and everything. And I tell you what, do you have any final comment? One final comment from moms tonight before we close.
Laugh more and have more fun.
There you go.
That's
You
awesome.
heard it here first. Have more
Yes.
and have more fun. Good advice. Good advice, Elaine.
Absolutely.
I tell you what, that is it for us for tonight. Again, thank you so much, Elaine, for being with us. Thank you, listeners, for being able to join us and rejoin us. We really appreciate you coming back and getting over the hump there with our little power outage thing going on. But I tell you what, we've got some great shows planned for you. We have our live event coming up on the 15th of
Yes.
October. So you all, keep us in your prayers and everything. We're going to be doing something totally different. So we're going to keep you up about that and keep you informed as to what's going on. We will be replaying this broadcast on Saturday evening at 7 p.m. So if you missed it
Yes.
today, and you have a new mom that you know, a friend that you know that's got some children
Uh-huh.
that could benefit from this and want to hear more about the book, be sure
Yep.
to tune in to Authors Up on Saturday at 7 p.m. We will be right back here next week. I can't tell you what we're going to be talking about, but we are going to be laughing more and we're going to be having more fun.
That's
So
it.
come on back and join us at 7 p.m. Next Sunday night for another edition of Authors Up. Good night, Elaine, and thank you again
Thank
so
you.
much, so much.
Thank
And
you.
good night, everybody. We'll see
Good
you
night,
next.
everybody. Good night, Bronze Girls.
Good
Mhm.
night.